core books up.
And the broadcast is going and the channel is live. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Root, the role playing game.
Yay!
Yay!
And I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the game master tonight. And our players, and we have everybody tonight. We have Paul Weimer as Arban, the Falcon Ronin.
I think we're caught between a rock and a hard place this time.
Hmm? Nobilis as Lancelot Vent, the Fox Vagrant.
Hi there. Those are some shiny swords.
Hmm? Jason Banks as Clem Sparrow, the Turtle Tinker.
Well, hello, guys. I'm glad to be back.
David Archambault as Nigel Farnboot, the Capybara Chronicler.
Well, this is a dangerous situation, and that's an important person.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have Lee Burdett as Peppa Pika, the Magpie Harrier, who has recently awakened within herself a love of
Fire.
Fire! Fire!
So, briefly recapping where things stand as we speak. This is, believe it or not, still the same day that you copied and forged a bunch of duchy documents and paperwork in order to slow the gears of bureaucracy for the Grand Duchy here in the clearing of Ironvein. And you planted those documents so that they would be found and appear to be left behind by burglars who didn't know what they were in possession of. Uh, those were the documents that you stole when you broke into the Longhouse and killed one of the government officials there. Uh, so those things have not yet been found, but they sure know about the murder. And so the town had been on lockdown. And you snuck back in to try to place a mysterious icon, an artifact given to you by a mystical stag. That you needed to place it on the longhouse and then leave it there for 24 hours and then question mark?
And then
Step 3, profit, you hope?
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I don't think we have any of us hope that
Yeah.
anything good is going
So
to come of this.
you successfully managed in this recent incursion, you infiltrated the town, managed to place this icon on the roof of the longhouse with a fancy glue that will make it very difficult to remove. You disabled the elevator on the shaft house, which allows them to move personnel and equipment in and out of their mole tunnel. And then you set the roof of the shaft house on fire, and then you went to flee from the town, and it would have been going great, except for the fact that Lancelot is currently separated from everyone else and surrounded by soldiers, and the rest of you have rendezvoused, but your escape has just been cut off by the captain of the Duchy Guard, who has demanded your surrender. And so that's, I think, where we're going to pick up for the immediate moment, which is to say that Arban, Lancelot, or excuse me, Arban, Clem, Peppa, and Nigel are at your rendezvous point on the outskirts of the clearing, but blocking your path into the woods is a mole with a very fancy set of armor and a very sharp looking sword. Standing just behind him is a rough looking, and I should say, perhaps say tough looking as opposed to rough, because that might have the wrong. You know what? Rough and tough. A bloodhound man with a scarred face. Like he's got a number of scars on his kind of snout and up his cheek a little bit that suggests that over his years he has stuck his nose in lots of dangerous places. But of late, he is currently wielding a bow and standing a few paces behind the captain of the guard. So the captain of the guard has just demanded that all of you surrender to him.
So it's just the captain and his bowman crony.
At present, although you
At
certainly
present.
know that, so Arbin, you in particular know that you had helped Lancelot to escape from the mob of soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you were flying away, you may or may not have heard him yell something else, and you're looking around and he has not yet rejoined your group.
Yeah.
So this is all still very much a dynamic situation. And in fact, actually, I might just briefly leave you there before you say anything else, just to ask Lancelot what your immediate response to being surrounded by these soldiers is. Because it might be different if you just literally try to run for it versus if you are willing to put your hands up and see what happens. Lancelot?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going with.
I was,
Then
and then I
first.
changed my mind just to make sure that, like, if you were going to just, like, literally try to break through Red Rover style and run for it, then that might be a different situation.
Can I read a tense situation to see whether that would actually be a good idea?
Yes, I think that that's an excellent plan.
Okay. Dice. I need dice for this game. It's funny.
Yeah, turns out, yeah.
As it turns out.
Two-
Okay,
two
read a tense
D6.
situation is cunning.
Yes.
I'm gonna roll my same lucky dice I got last time. I got an 8 plus 2 is 10.
Okay, so that means you can ask 3 questions and then
Mhm.
take +1 ongoing when acting on the answers. And so if you need the list of questions, I can read them for you. Otherwise,
Read them off.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
sure.
woefully unprepared here.
So, what's my best way in, out, in, through? Seems like a reasonable one.
Yeah. Okay.
Because bear in mind, even in a case of a question that has an obvious answer, you're still getting that +1 bonus for it. Right?
Exactly.
Who or what is the biggest threat? Who or what is most vulnerable to me? What should I be on the lookout for? Who is in control here?
Okay, I will take who. What's the best way in, out, through? I will say which is the most vulnerable.
Well, okay, so let's do the answers and then. For
Okay.
each
All
and
right.
then-
All right.
So I think, unfortunately, as previously established in canon, what the mole soldiers are actually good at is forming up ranks and
Mhm.
establishing cordons, which
Yeah.
they have done. So
Right.
honestly, you think that your best way out is somehow talking your way out.
Okay. All right. Well.
Which is going to be tricky because they've seen you do some stuff. So
Yeah.
but
yeah.
but nonetheless, you think just trying to literally run for it is a good way to have 8 spears poked in.
Run through me. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this enough of a fight to use charm offensive?
Well, I mean, that's not really one of the questions.
No. What? No.
Oh.
I'm asking you. One of my moves is charm offensive.
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
fight, distract a character with words, roll cunning on a hit, create an opening.
Yeah. I think yes. That kind of that move, sort of, I think implies an approach that's a little bit more like, "Hey, what's over there?" and then
Yeah.
running, as opposed to
Well,
literally just trying to talk
or yeah.
But I mean, I think you could do that, but it's basically like, I think the risk that you have there is
Mhm.
because that move is kind of assuming a fight and not sort of a
Mhm.
stalemate.
Well, this isn't exactly a stalemate.
Right, but the point just being, on a miss, they come at you hard, which means
Yeah.
like a miss on that move means they attack you, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Yeah.
some of the others,
Yeah.
right?
All right.
So I think the answer would be yes, but that's for both good and bad.
Right. Well, okay. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to slowly set my staff aside, raise my hands, stand up very slowly.
Okay, sorry, I'm noticing like what. Oh, we have someone extra in the Zoom call. I'm sorry.
Yeah, somehow I got a invite thing and didn't know why.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
not needed. So, thank you. But there we go. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say, well, yeah, sure. So it would be terrible for you to take me prisoner right now. Definitely wouldn't be a waste of your time given everything else that's happening.
So,
And I'm gonna try the old don't throw me in the briar patch.
sure. Okay, so I guess the question then becomes, I could see that being a trick in NPC, but technically, you're not really tricking them so much as it's more like compel, right? Like,
Yeah,
Well,
I'm trying
well-
to convince them that I'm trying to convince them that I'm not worth their trouble,
Mhm.
given everything else that's happening.
yeah. Well, so you
Um,
do have two more questions for the which
Yeah.
I only
Who's
encourage you
in-
to do because you could get the +1 for it, right?
Yeah, so who's in control here?
Okay.
So pick out like who is the guy who's I want to convince.
Yeah. I think what you realize here, first of all, is that you have perhaps lucked into a situation where none of the people immediately around you seem to be officers. They're all rank and file.
Okay.
And so you get the impression there's one mole in particular who you think maybe has a little bit more seniority than the others, but
He's still
in
not
terms
an
of any
officer.
formal
Yeah.
rank. Like he's
Okay,
just like
okay.
he's the popular one or whatever.
And I think that's the only question I want right now. Can I hold
Yeah,
the question?
yeah.
Okay.
Assuming that the situation doesn't fundamentally change.
Right. And yeah, and say yeah, your officers definitely want you to capture a single fox who maybe did something and maybe didn't, rather than dealing with the mystical events that are certainly going to be transpiring in the town fairly soon.
Okay, they don't know anything about that. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
okay, so in that context, that sounds more like a trick in NPC.
Okay. All right. I don't think it matters that much, but okay. Anyways, rolling charm, I think, for trick and NPC, right?
Yeah. So persuade an NPC. No. So persuade an NPC is charm. Trick an
Okay.
NPC is cunning.
Cunning. Okay, that's the same thing.
Well, but the responses are different. That's my point. Is that
Okay.
yeah?
That was cocked. Here we go. Oh, got an 8 plus 2 plus 1 for the using a question is an 11.
Okay. So they. So I think as soon as you say that last part, there's a little bit of like a round of consternation going around among all them that saying like, what do you mean mystical events?
Oh, forget I said anything. Here's my hands. Go ahead. Manacles. You've got manacles, right? One of you's got manacles. Kind of look around. It's like, oh, you don't have any? That does sound a bit unfortunate.
Okay, I feel like I've lost the thread of like what the trick is now.
I'm trying to get them to understand that I'm trying to convince them to do something, and that I'm trying to be very blatant about trying to convince them to do something,
Okay.
to get them to think that maybe that's not the right thing to do.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, so it's a little
It's
bit.
reverse psychology. I'm doing reverse psychology.
I see. I see. Okay, I was not fully grasping that element of it.
And it's fine for them to be just as confused as you were.
Yeah, I think that is largely what you're getting, but at the same time, so I think the response though here is they are confused, and they're not doing that. Like they're not just immediately binding you
Right.
and taking you in.
Right. Right.
But they are still all kind of standing over you, going like, "No, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean mystical occurrences?"
Oh, you didn't know. Oh, of course you wouldn't know. Yeah, there's we got word, and here I'm tricking an NPC again.
Okay, well, I think I don't know if we need to make a different role.
Okay.
You're kind of still
Okay.
doing
Well,
the same
anyways,
thing. Yeah.
continuing the con.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we got instructions from an informant from within the mold, from within your one of your comrades, that they would be testing a new mystical forest power that someone had discovered within the town, and that the whole reason for taking over this town was to use it to test out this new magical weapon. And yeah, that you all you guys are like,
Yeah.
here to be tested on.
All right, so they have not
so-
let you go by any stretch, but they are definitely like you're watching them all kind of whisper amongst themselves, is like, "You heard anything about that? No, I haven't." Like, well, those.
Well, of
officers
course
never told us anything.
they wouldn't tell just anybody.
Yeah.
It does take a bit of finesse to accomplish this kind of information. But no, yes, I am very interested in going back to town with you, because I definitely want to see what's going to happen. It's going to be fabulous.
Okay, so I'm see, the reverse psychology is tricky here because
Yeah.
one of
Oh, I
them
agree.
literally had you throw a dagger at them. They saw you. They saw the falcon who attacked them come into your defense, right?
Mhm.
So, like, I think it's a hard. It's one thing to persuade them that there's something weird going on, but
Right.
like I'm not sure I see how the reverse psychology even leads to them
Well,
letting you go.
I'm not even expecting them to let me go. I'm
Okay,
expecting
so
them to
what I'll
not
say then?
take me into town.
Okay.
To just like, all right, we're gonna stay here and figure out
Yeah,
what's
so
going on
I
before
think
we do
that's
anything.
where we'll leave it right now, is that you have got them
Bamboozled.
yeah, so you've got them confused enough that they are talking it over amongst themselves rather than tying you up and dragging you back to their tunnel.
Right. What that was my buying time was what I was after.
Fair enough.
So,
okay, so then while time has been bought, let's cut then back over again to the captain of the guard, who happens to be named. Let's see. You don't necessarily know that, but he is Captain Frother, and he has shown up at the entrance to the forest and said, "In the name of the Grand Duchy, I demand that you all surrender."
I'm going to read a tense situation myself, because I might want to act on those answers to get my friends out of house.
Well, remember too that you specifically, Arbin, already have a +1 against Captain Frother, because you were the when you had previously run it, you said what to look out for, and I said that you don't see where that guy is. He's got to be doing
True.
something. And the answer turned out to be he was tracking you from behind.
He was
all along.
tracking me all this time.
Yeah.
Okay, boss, I'll still try it anyway, because it might illuminate a way out for my friends rather than just
Sure.
giving up our
Yeah.
ropes. All right. So that's 2 + 4 + 2 is 8. So
Okay.
that's just one answer, I believe.
Correct. So yeah, you get just one, and it's what's my best way in, out, through, who or what is the biggest threat, who or what is most vulnerable to me, what should I be on the lookout for, who is in control here.
Tricky to only get one of them. All right. Who's most vulnerable to me? I'm gonna
Okay.
think like a warrior here.
to you, yeah. So I think you look at the two denizens ahead of you. One of them is very clearly an elite soldier in fancy armor with a fancy sword. The other one is kind of a scrappy mercenary who holds the bow like he knows how to use it, but does not look prepared for any kind of a melee fight. And so you think that, you know, he'd be a soft target for you, militarily speaking.
Militarily speaking. I've got the turtle, the capybara, and the pika behind me.
Mm-hmm.
These two in front of me.
Yeah.
Right. This is where Arbin does something reckless and stupid again.
Oh, okay.
So I call to my friends, run, and I charge the mercenary with the bow. I'll try to dodge past the guard and past our Captain Frother and get at the bow, because the bow guy can attack my friends more easily than the captain can at the moment. So if I
Yeah.
and he's also the softer target, so that's who I'm going to go for. So-
Okay. Yeah. So I think that the captain, being the one that had spoken out and stood forward, is that both he and the mercenary didn't expect you to go for the mercenary, and so I think they are surprised in that regard. And so I will ask you to go ahead and engage in melee.
All right, engage in melee is
Might.
might. Okay, might is actually okay. I don't. Oh yeah, I need to get more advances. All right, but that's a 9.
Well, okay, so yeah, actually, and I was just trying to think if I needed you to get in within range. You know what? I think I'll say that they were surprised enough by your tactic that
Okay.
I'll let you get it
Oh,
within range. For
Oh,
free.
should I use the plus? Should I use the +1 to? Oh yeah, +1. 9 +1 is 10 actually. We have to use
Okay,
+1
yeah.
for Captain Frother. Yeah. So
Yeah.
10.
So what that means is that you have closed within range to close range within for both of these characters, and with a 10, you get to pick 3 from inflict serious harm, which you'll do an extra level of harm. Suffer little harm, shift your range 1 step, and then impress, dismay, or frighten your foe. And so
I will-
that is on
Yep,
the.
Yep. I will impress. I will take little and do extra.
So here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
You have charged past the captain
Mhm.
to get to this guy. So you're going to inflict your harm on the mercenary, but both of them are attacking you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I kind of figured I'm going to be soaking up the damage here. So
yeah. So you are going to be getting 2 harm from Captain Frother and 2 from Reese as he scrambles to get his bow up.
So when Reese get 1 because he's doing little.
Uh,
I
so I think that this represents he's very good with his bow, and you charged him from
oh
far
okay.
range, so he had time to get it up.
Yeah, he had time to get the beat on me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You're
okay,
you're engaging both of them with melee because they're standing close enough together.
right. Okay, so 4 harm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can mark where, of course, to absorb
Yeah,
some of that. Are you?
yeah, and yeah, I'm gonna mark my last wear, and then so I basically take 3 harm. Yeesh. Okay,
How much would it
Oh,
take
wait,
if he
wait, oh, wait a
didn't
minute.
take
Oh,
less
wait.
harm?
what's that?
How much would he
Well,
take?
yeah. So
have
4
taken
is
if
what
he-
you would
I
be
did.
doing, and if you take suffer less harm, you
I did,
you
yeah.
-1. Yeah. So it
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be
Oh,
get-
okay, because I thought the 2 was with the -1. Okay,
No.
okay,
So it's 4 coming towards you to begin with, and then if you suffer less harm, then it's going to be 3.
okay, got it. All right, so yep, so that's me. So I pull out the blue sword and I go start swinging at the mercenary, and I'm of course now in the middle of a
Yeah.
good old Ronnie book, and this is not great for me, but maybe my friends can escape or
Well, yeah. So yeah, you're in a tough situation. So yeah. So
I'm in a tough
you
situation.
did suffer less harm.
I
What
did
were
more.
your other 2 choices?
I do more and impress or dismay them. and dismay them. Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing two. Yeah, so I think what you here has this. I think what's going to happen is that you manage to as this guy gets an arrow off into your shoulder, but then you're closing so fast with the sword. I think you just snap his bow. You've broken it, and he does not have another weapon prepared. He is an archer, and so even though you also feel, the kiss of steel at your back from the captain after charging past him, you can tell that this mercenary, after you've broken his bow, is just gonna run. Like, you see it in his eyes. He's done with this fight. He's gonna just take off.
Good.
What are the rest of you doing?
You're muted, Lee.
Um,
Okay. Come first.
no, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I was going to use, or I was going to fly up because we are in the woods now.
Well, you're
was-
just on the outskirts. You're like at the border of the clearing.
At border of the clearing.
Yeah.
I want to use parkour
Okay.
to get through the fight and get into the woods where I can get up to a tree.
Okay. So roll with finesse to dash
Okay.
through a chaotic scene or fight.
Okay.
Because
And my
certainly
finesse
the fight right now is blocking the entrance to the path. But
Right.
yeah.
And that's a 10.
Okay. So on a 10, you're holding 3, and you can spend the hold 1 for 1 to dash to something within sight and reach without being stopped. And you can hold 2 of that. So if you
Right.
use your first one to get to a tree perch,
Yep.
you still have 2 more. What are Nigel and Clem doing? It's worth noting, Arbin is, like, he did great just there, but he's rough. Like, he's injured. He's
Yeah.
bleeding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. It is true. I'm not in a great shape.
Yeah, and now he's got to fight. Now he's got to fight that expert guy. Yeah.
So now that I've got one depletion left.
Mm-hmm.
Would in my fancy dancy bigger on the inside than the outside turtle shell, aka my toolbox, could I find a canvas tarp that I would use for things?
Perhaps. What do you have in mind?
It's basically a Three Stooges gag. I'm gonna dump it on that. I'm gonna try to throw it on top of the captain man,
Okay.
and then hopefully we beat the crap out of him while he's covered in it.
All right. Okay. So are you thinking for that move, is that, are you thinking that's maybe like a jury rig move that you're using
I
this
was gonna-
tarp as a...
I was gonna use my improvised.
Oh, improvised weapon.
My esoteric hand tool. Sorry.
Okay. Well, but I mean, the move, the hand tools are not a move. I mean, let's say you have the tarp, but the move, like, what are we rolling? So, like, what I was thinking is, you don't have improvised weapon, but what you do have is the jury rig move, which
Yeah, we could say I'm trying to jury rig it kind of like a net.
right, yeah, because exactly. So, like, that move is when you create a makeshift device on the fly, you roll with cunning. And yeah, so I think that the idea is that you have this tarp. You can mark a box of depletion to have the tarp, and then roll with cunning, and we'll see how effective this tarp is.
Alrighty, because let's see. Okay, cool. Woohoo! That's a 13. I got a 6 and a 5.
Wow. Okay. Great. So on a 10 plus, you're choosing one between it works exceptionally well or you get an additional use out of it.
Could I take an additional use and make it so it's harder for him to get out of?
That sounds like exceptionally
Yeah,
well.
that's
Well,
exceptionally
yeah,
well,
yeah.
so-
I think
Or
that,
okay,
yeah,
exceptionally
so
well.
works exceptionally well makes it harder for him to get out, but I think that the tarp is not going to be useful anymore, right?
Yeah,
You
so-
won't still
yeah,
have
so-
it.
Yeah, and I think that works because exceptionally well, I think, means that it works really, really well, but it's broken afterwards. So that's part of
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's definitely, on a hit, you create a device that works once and then breaks. And
Yeah.
so I think
So, yeah.
what actually happens here is this elite soldier senses your approach behind him and actually whirls with the sword just to see this tarp. Like, he's like, ah! And he sort of swings out with the sword, and you see it cut like a gash in the tarp. It seems like a very sharp sword, but the rest of it sort of collapses onto him, and you see that like just his arm with the sword is kind of sticking out of it, but the rest of it has kind of tied him up. And so he's a little bit dangerous still in the sense that the sword arm is still like sticking out of a hole in the tarp, but he is otherwise kind of encumbered and blinded by being covered in tarp.
Well, given that move, I think Nigel would go ahead and pull out his staff and start beating.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that is going to be an engage in melee as well, and I will give you. Yeah, so he is swinging this sword around like crazy. So I will give you a +1 because he is blinded. But at the same time, you are certainly still at risk of injury.
Yeah. That is 11.
Oh wow, you guys are rolling pretty well so far tonight.
Please don't jinx us.
Yeah.
Use my example from last session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means with engage in melee is that with a 10 plus, you're going to trade harm, which means that your harm is 1 exhaustion. His harm is 2 injury, but you can choose with inflict serious harm with a +1, or suffer little harm with a -1, shift your range 1 step, or impress, dismay, or frighten your foe. Which would be
I think-
represented here by morale harm, which he has a separate track for.
Yeah. I think I will do inflict serious, suffer little, and shift my range.
Okay, well, how are you shifting your range? What are you wanting that
Like-
to be?
Basically,
getting-
I step up, kind of beam him, and as I'm ducking away from ducking from a serious,
Mhm.
I'm just kind of
Oh, so you
stumbling
get back
backwards.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that you are doing 2 exhaustion, right?
Yes.
But you're gonna still take 1 point of injury, which I think puts you at 3, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're also looking pretty rough. Because bear in mind, in this game, you can have up to 4 and just be really bad off, but you take another one
Yeah.
and you die, and there's no healing magic or
Yeah.
raised
Yeah.
spells, or yeah. So in any case, so you definitely take a jab from this very sharp sword that is just flicking around. Like, I think, Arbin, you specifically noticed this sword is designed to do these really precise, fast slashes, and it's just so sharp that it's it's not just a big flailing longsword. It's really just this little razor blade.
I respect the
Yeah.
captain's.
But
choice.
yeah, so at the same time, you take a slash wound, Nigel. You nonetheless clunk this guy on the head pretty hard, and he, I think, yeah. So you get the sense that you have, you've made him rung his bell a little bit, but that his helmet it, takes a lot of the damage. So basically, you've done 2 exhaustion, and one of those has been absorbed as wear on his armor.
Well, that's where that is used up for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. So, what's next?
Peppa wants to shoot the guy that Arbin, the other archer guy.
I thought he's
Okay.
already running away.
Well, so
Yeah.
basically his bow has been broken and he is fleeing the scene. You want to
Yeah.
shoot him?
I want to shoot him.
Okay. Go ahead and
And-
do your target someone move. Roll with finesse.
Yep. And that's an 11.
Okay.
We're
Yeah, I
rolling-
think you put an arrow right in the center of his back and he goes down into the yeah.
Leave no witnesses.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, no, wait, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's not quite that simple. You got an 11, which means on a 10 plus you can strike again before they get to cover. Inflict injury again, or keep your position hidden, your choice. So, which do you choose? So basically, if you fire again, so he doesn't go down with the first one, he staggers. A second one would probably do it, but then, everyone, I guess in theory your position is not hidden anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that it ever was hidden because I didn't bother to hide.
Okay, but here's okay.
Yeah.
You get the choice,
Yeah.
right?
No, I'm just gonna shoot him. I'm just gonna shoot him again.
Okay, all right. Well, he goes down with the second arrow. All right.
All right. Let's just make this easy.
Mhm.
Violence is the answer. No, it's really not. But that's a 9.
Okay. Oh no, you didn't need to roll again for the second one. It's just you're doing
Okay.
extra damage. But
Okay.
but I think that in order to hit him with that second arrow, you kind of had to stand out further on that particular branch, and so you are now visible to the people like below.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to because it doesn't matter that you didn't try to hide before. The choice you were making is you would either be hidden or not.
Right.
So okay, but yeah, so you have murdered the mercenary that was already running away.
Right. Which is par for the course for Peppa because she's done this before.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so Arbin, do you have a response now that the captain is currently, he's still flailing around, but he is this is a competent guy. He is working on it. He's going to get this thing off of him before too long here.
I know, and I'm rather injured. So, all right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to finish him off.
Okay,
just
so
gonna
and
try
you have another so you have your original +1 against him, and then another one because he's still got the
tarp.
the tarp on him.
Okay, let's see. Roll. And that's 11, 13, 14?
Okay.
It's 5, 6, 2, and 1 is 14.
Yeah. So I think you are going to once again have those same choices. Where-
Suffer little, do extra,
Mhm.
and Presser Dismay. Well, yeah, because if I move range, if I just move back, if I don't kill him here. So yeah. So
All right. So you're doing extra, and I think that in this case, what ends up happening is you've used up all of the wear on his armor.
Mhm.
So I think with this slash, you can see that his sort of fancy breastplate that he's got, this slash has it sort of hanging loose off of him now. But he's still got, he's a tough guy underneath the armor. So
Yeah.
you've done your extra damage, and you impress or dismay. Is that what the?
I don't think that's actually going to do anything for him. So
Well,
I think
I
I'm
mean-
gonna-
Oh no, it still can because he's got a morale track as well.
would that
Right.
affect his morale attack? Okay, then I'll
I mean,
do that then.
it would, although the because just mechanically, again, we're still learning some of these systems. the mercenary, for example, had a morale track of 1. So 1
Yeah.
morale damage is enough to make him run away. This is the captain of the guard. He probably has more than that, right? So
Yeah.
you can,
Okay.
but you
Okay.
can you can start working on it though. It's not infinite.
Right. But I'm also injured. I can't stand here and get slashed. So I
Yeah.
think I'm going to move back a range step.
Okay.
Instead.
So you have his armor is basically hanging off of him, useless now. Um, but he's still otherwise kind of physically healthy. I think that you managed to back off, but he I think at this point gets the tarp off of him.
Yep.
Um,
We need.
and he looks over and sees the, you know, I think he probably doesn't see the mercenary because he's looking around like, where did he go? And I think what he does is touching odds to me. And he's shouting. At which point, Lancelot, let's briefly cut over to you. I think that you've got these guards, like they are definitely still feeling like, I think they've started trying to kind of interrogate you, like, you know more than you're saying, like what's your involvement in this whole thing, and they're demanding answers on that regard.
Oh, I'm going to lie my foxy ass off.
Okay.
I'm telling them that we are working for one of the higher ups in the mole hierarchy with a code name of Lancelot's going to make this up a whole lot smoother than I will.
Mhm.
Whose code name is Obdurax, and his and as I've said, they're testing this new weapon on this town that's going to, well, we don't know exactly what it's going to do, but yeah, he's expects everyone to be in town for the test. So you really need to be back in for that.
So I think that you've got these soldiers really agitated at this point for a couple of different reasons. One is you're telling them stuff that I mean, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, right? But they've never heard about. Sounds pretty strange. Also, you're a suspicious individual to begin with. Also, they're kind of standing around you in a big group while obviously one of their buildings is on fire. And what's going on here? Where did that bird go? And so they are like on the verge of making hasty decisions that could go any number of ways.
Okay.
But
So-
at that point, you hear in the distance from the direction you were running to, Duchy guards to me.
Oh, hey, that's Obdurax. Yeah, you definitely want to find out what he's up to.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think at this point, what happens
And
is
what I'm trying to do is keep them confused so that they don't go. That's my goal.
okay.
But-
I think we need another.
Okay,
roll then.
I'm
All
I
right.
can make another
I'm
roll.
just sort of feeling like at this point there's enough of them around that they can start feeling like it's okay to leave like 5 of them with you, and the others
Okay.
can go see what's going on, right?
Okay. I rolled a 6 plus 2 is an 8.
Okay, so I think in this case with Trick and NPC, on a 7 to 9, they instead, how about that? Okay, all right. Here's what happens with them is, they hesitate, and so you get the sense here that they, like I said, they were already kind of agitated. But they're looking back and forth. They're seeing one of the buildings burned. Like, should we go back and do something with that? Who's calling for us over there? That sounded like the captain. And you're talking all this nonsense. They are panicked.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
And so I think I think what you get the sense of is much more of this sort of panic, and they're just going to lose all sorts of cohesion as a group, and just everyone, one of them is going to go off do whatever they think is right individually.
I am totally fine with that result.
Okay.
If they,
Yeah,
just,
so-
if it's just, I want to, I want, this is, psychological warfare. I want to destroy their ability to
you
act
are
as a group.
making some progress on that, and so I think what you have
Yeah.
successfully done still right now is now they are having a shouting argument with each other while they
Yeah.
continue to surround you.
Yeah. So that is entirely what I wanted to have happen, is just having this argument and not doing anything else, not hurting me, not moving, not going. Yeah. Everything is just, this is all going according to plan.
Chaos reigns.
I'm
Okay.
setting their minds on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. So gosh,
Oh,
it just
man.
makes me think. I'm not sure that there is a specific move that is like just do morale damage. Well, I guess there are specific moves. It's just not one of the basic moves. You
Right.
know, like there are moves
Right.
that basically it's
So
like, I do
confusion.
morale damage. Like that's the effect of some of these other moves, right? Like
Yeah.
when you
I don't
do
have
that-
those. I'm just going based on,
Mhm. Yeah.
maybe I'll
Um,
pick I got to look up those moves though, because I got to have them.
Yeah. So I think in this case, though, you get the sense that they are starting to kind of panic, and lose unit
Lose cohesion. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but back at with the others, you've got this the captain who his armor's kind of fallen off of him, and so he just he sheds it, but he's still got this extremely fast, sharp sword, and he's looking around at all of you and saying, "It is not too late for you to surrender honorably, and I swear that you will be treated with dignity as prisoners of the Grand Duchy. But if you do not surrender, you shall be hunted down like the traitors you are."
I have a question.
Okay.
Can they hear the arguing people? Because the arguing people could hear him shout.
Well, yeah, he shouted out though versus him
Okay.
kind of calling to the people here in the area. I would
Okay.
say that
Fair.
yeah, I would say that you are maybe he's maybe generally aware that he doesn't hear anybody coming his way.
Okay.
And the rest of you are maybe aware of some kind of a commotion, but you wouldn't be close enough to understand what's happening.
Well, why
I'll
not?
call out Peppa, shoot him.
You
So,
got it, boss.
So, have you guys seen the old school '90s Ninja Turtles movie, where where the four turtles surround that one poor individual, and they crush him between all four of their shells?
Yes.
You guys see Clem rush forward and basically shoulder charge into the guard, shell first.
All right.
Because Clem's shell is heavy and very bulky.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Squire strikes back.
So I think though the issue here though is that what you're talking about is definitely going to be a might roll.
Yep, it's
Which
gonna
is
be a
not
straight
your
roll.
best stat. Yeah.
Nope.
How about this? I will. You all have a couple of options here, because remember that at least if any of you have exhaustion to spare, you can use exhaustion to help in various roles. So keep that in mind if you can justify in the fiction how it would help. But so we've got Arbin has called out, Peppa, shoot him, which I think she's probably on board to do shortly. Clem is going to rush him. Is anyone else doing anything that? Well, so how about this, Clem? You were the one that is just kind of right there, able to act right away, versus Peppa that's going to be shortly after you. But go ahead and make a might roll. You are doing engage in melee, and you will be doing exhaustion damage in this case.
Okay, it is a 9.
Okay, so what that means is that with engage in melee, a 9 lets you choose one from that list. So the list being inflict extra harm, suffer little harm, shift your range one step, or impress, dismay, or frighten your foe. And so you would be doing one exhaustion harm to him, um, and he would be doing 2 injury to you. But you can also mark where to absorb that.
Okay, bet. Um, would I need to mark 2 where to take both of those, or would it just
Yeah,
be one?
or you would take it as injury instead.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if you
Then
have
I
2 where to
will.
mark, then you can mark those and not take any injury.
Okay, I have one where. Wait, actually, no. I think my shell has not had any. Nope, it hasn't. So yeah, I'll take the wear on my shell for that, and I will inflict extra exhaustion on it.
Okay. So here's the, here's the thing, Peppa. You hear you hear Arben shout, and you're raising your bow. But what you watch as you're staring down your knocked bow is you see Clem suddenly hurl himself forward, kind of spin around in a fairly clunky, ungainly looking pirouette, only to slam into this captain, shell first, and just crunch him against a tree. At which point, Clem, your shell has taken a couple, the wear. I think you watch a lot of Clem's sort of tools kind of falling out of his various little pockets and stowaways, because he's like a lot of the internal construction there has been damaged here. But with with you ending up sort of back against this tree, the captain behind you, all of you watch him just kind of roll his eyes back in his head, and then he goes limp. You have knocked him out.
Well done, Clem.
Well done, Clem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a toss up because
Mhm.
I don't have a ranged weapon, and my smithy hammer can cleave, so I could have knocked his armor off, but you
Well,
guys already did that. So
Yeah.
hmm
I was like, well, I've got this big shell, might as well.
yeah.
Great.
Right. So here's the thing: is that from the point of like sword injuries and that sort of thing, this guy's in good shape. But basically, with a combination of him getting clonked on the head by Nigel's staff earlier, and then this just slam into the between the shell and the tree, has just knocked him just
Tie him
he's
up.
out cold.
Tie him up.
Dips on his sword.
You can take his sword.
Mhm.
I'm killing him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think I'm leaving him alive, do you?
No, not really.
No. How
Okay.
can that
I
be?
mean, yeah, I mean the coup de grace is trivial at this point. You may narrate it however you like.
Yeah, I gesture for Clem to get past to get out of the way. I pull out the sword and saying, for the denizens, and stab him in the throat.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
I think at this point you recognize that at the very moment there doesn't seem to be any hostile individuals in your immediate vicinity. However, Lancelot has still not joined you, and he was not far enough behind that he would have just gotten lost. Something must have kept him. Peppa, if you do swoop in and grab the sword, this is a sword that has 2 positive tags on it. It has the tag fast, which allows you to mark where to suffer 1 fewer harm, and sharp, mark
Ooh.
where to inflict 1 extra harm.
All right. So
and it
one where to one
No,
where.
just look up the tags in the book. It
Okay.
has the fast
Yeah, it has the
tag
tags.
and the sharp tag, and those are and it has 2 boxes of wear. I think one of them is marked right now.
Okay.
The armor is also like the armor is destroyed. Like you guys ruined the armor.
Hey
Um,
guys, I might be able to fix that.
Oh yeah, I think you need to fix
I
mine though.
do believe it's reduced to scrap at
well,
For
so
now.
theoretically, Clem's
Yeah, by all
move-
means, keep looting the bodies while I'm over here.
Yeah, you're doing
Yeah,
you're doing
go right
great.
ahead. You know, I'm doing just fine by myself. Yeah, I don't need your help.
You're
Where
talking
is
the entire gang
Lancelot?
down. It is working. Look what we're coming through now.
Perhaps one of us should go and see where what's
Oh,
going on. Try and find him.
Yeah. I think at this point, as things have quieted down where you are, you do hear what sounds like soldiers having some kind of an argument not too far away. Like it's not like 30 yards away, but like it's enough that over the quiet night you can see that. You also look like further down the slopes of this hill to where clearly there is an inadequate attempt to try to put out the fire on the roof of the shaft house.
Yeah.
Like you
Good.
can see that there's a lot of activity down there, but the fire is still clearly going.
hmm.
Yes, Peppa?
No, I'm just celebrating my victory.
Okay, I got someone.
Actually-
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to give the sword to Nigel because I'm at capacity for flying, and I've already got a short sword in a previous altercation, so I'm going to give it to Nigel for his memoirs and his as a souvenir, basically. I'm sorry I
Thank
lost
you.
the stoves, but here, have this as a souvenir.
There is also a badge of office that you can take off of his
Boink.
armor. Yeah.
I'll let that be given to Lancelot because he probably has the most useful for it.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna
we're
impersonate a mole.
yeah.
Anyone can, you can.
I'm a very feathery. I'm a very feathery mole.
Well, it's certainly proof that you killed him if you needed such a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
don't want that. So are we?
We're gonna go save Lancelot now.
Do you maybe want to stay here and get patched up first?
I probably
Instead?
should.
Yeah.
So
I probably
one
should.
thing
I'm
that we
not
should
dead.
make clear too is that we briefly talked about it and then didn't actually do it at one point, where the idea of healing one injury is something that perhaps one of your fellow vagabonds could do at the cost of one depletion. More injury than that is harder. So, like, you can't just do that 3 times to clear 3 injury. You guys are
Right.
pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Those of you who have
Yeah.
more than one injury.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of yeah.
I can use the tatters of the leather tarp to make some bandages with my medicine, but
Mhm.
yeah, I can only do 1 injury for each.
Well, also is the question of like how much of that are you doing right now? Because if you're
Yeah,
doing
we-
anything
yeah.
else other than heading straight for Lancelot, I'm gonna advance his scene more.
Sounds like they're
Okay.
not.
Well, like or not, we have to save Lancelot first.
Okay.
Yep, I'm gonna grab up the tattered armor, throw it in my shell, and be like, and we're gonna get to Lancelot. And Glenn is mumbling something about every time I do that, everything comes unhinged. It's gonna take forever to clean up.
Yeah. So as you are like hurrying as much as you can, I think probably like Arbin's pretty hurt, but so I don't know if you're flying necessarily, but Peppa at
No,
the very least. is
I'm not
probably-
flying. No.
Peppa, you could probably scout out most effectively, and it is still dark, so
Yeah.
you could probably sort of fly overhead. If you want to make a sneak roll for me, I will perhaps let you do a read a tense situation for where Lancelot currently finds himself.
All right. So I got 13 on my sneak.
Yeah, no problem. You are
Yeah.
the knight.
The terror
am
that claps in the night.
Magpie
yeah.
woman. That doesn't. I'll have to. I'll have to work on my name. Um, all right. So, read intent situation is
Cunning.
Cunning.
Yeah.
All right. Can I have a +1 because I got a 13 on my sneak?
No, no. I mean, with you, so your
Not how it
sneak.
works. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's look at that the sneak move, right? It's the roguish feat, sneak, and so on a 10, yeah. So it's on a hit, you achieve your goal, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
So you don't get an extra bonus for it.
Okay. Okay. Read intent situation. At least I'm not in negatives for Cunning. So let's see. Oh nope. I got a 4. I know nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I think unfortunately, what happens is, gosh, because on read a tense situation, it doesn't specifically have, like, it doesn't list a consequence for a miss. But here's the thing: in this game, when you get a miss, that something happens.
Right.
I
I
think.
totally expected that.
Yeah, I think that as you get distracted in your attempt to read a tense situation, because as you're flying overhead, you see that it looks like they have successfully put the fire out.
Aw.
Aw.
Yeah. Roll better
Oh,
on the
well.
dice and don't taunt me about bonuses next time.
I love you, GM.
I love you too. I'm a big fan of you guys. I'm just saying. Yeah, so it looks like the shaft house is clearly damaged, but they've gotten the fire under control before it burned to the ground. And at the very least, you're able to come back to the others and tell them where Lancelot is and that he is surrounded by like 15 soldiers who seem to be arguing about what to do with him.
Yeah. So generally, he looks okay, but there's like 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps myself and Clem should should go in, or actually, yeah. Basically, I have robes that have the unassuming quality,
Okay.
so I am by default considered less of a threat.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me double check that. So we had I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the got people out of order again, but I'll put you all back where you go. So when so
Until
you're
you harm an
unassuming.
enemy.
What's the read the tag for me for unassuming.
Until you harm an enemy, they will never deem you more of a threat than other vagabonds with arms and armor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. So you can you just wander up first then.
I go on, kind of leaning on my staff because I'm pretty hurt.
You are. You look injured for sure. And right now, the only person who would be able to identify you as directly involved is back in town.
So I'll go up to them and say, I need some help. I need some help.
This is great.
I was attacked.
Yeah, go ahead and do trick and NPC. Roll with cunning. Lancelot, I don't know if you're in a position. Do you have? Well, let's see how Nigel rolls first.
Okay. That is a 9.
A 9. Okay, so I think that means
Can
that
I-
if
can
Lancelot
I-
does not have exhaustion despair.
I do have exhaustion despair. So I will spend an exhaustion to help him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this poor citizen is injured. Clearly needs help.
Yeah. So I think with that help, Nigel, yeah, you suddenly the guards believe that you are injured, and so some of them at least are coming over to like like to check you over, and they start asking, "Is like, what happened to you? What who did this?" And
Was it the Wiggins?
Yeah. Is that what they are? Oh, I was jumped.
yeah, so I will go ahead and say that is one more morale harm on them. That it's like, what? There's someone who's obviously injured, and like, what's going on here? So
Paul,
they-
you're allowed to laugh out loud. That's fine. You don't have to stay for work.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. So what are Arbin and Peppa doing as Nigel has got these soldiers further distracted? Because I
Arbin
would
is kind
imagine
of bringing up.
you're just a little ways out in the dark still, and
Yeah.
Clem obviously is there as well.
Yeah, Arbin's kind of bringing up the rear here to find an avenue to escape for if we need to run. Because if he tries to get engaged into any more combat, he'll probably
Yeah.
die or get really wrecked. So he's kind of playing last man standing, as we're basically looking for routes that if we have to flee, we'll run this way.
Well,
Basically,
also there's no way in hell that you'd be able to pull off the unassuming move that Nigel just did.
no,
Face up.
not my skill set.
Especially since this is the same group that you did storm.
I just fought. Yes, so,
Yeah, so like,
staying
if
back
they saw
is
you, they would come right at you.
exactly.
Yeah, so staying well back makes sense. What about Clem and Peppa?
I think Peppa is going to head for the trees to provide cover.
Okay, that's further away.
Okay.
This is not happening near the trees.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And I'm making as if I'm hearing something, and I'm
Okay.
saying it loud enough that my friends can hear me.
Oh, we don't hear you, Jason.
You're muted.
So I don't have any more depletion, so I can't. I'm trying to think of something to pull out of my bag of tricks.
Yeah, because all I can think of is Peppa flapping her wings noisily and heading towards the river.
Okay, so
Like
just
she's
trying-
imitating Arbin, but she's flying fast enough that maybe she can get them following her.
Well,
and then,
so you did. I think you would have heard Lancelot seeming to say that, like, don't you hear the monsters coming from the woods? So
Embrace the
so you can
monsters.
do whatever you want. I'm just saying you would have heard that,
Yeah.
that's the story he's going with.
What do monsters sound like?
You tell me. What do these made up monsters
I don't
sound
think
like?
they know either.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Oh.
I'll follow somebody else's idea.
I see a big smile.
Okay,
from
okay,
Jason.
okay.
Oh,
Okay. So they've not seen us, correct?
correct.
Okay. So would it be trick an NPC if Clem comes fumbling and stumbling in a panic out of the shadows, screaming something about the captain of the guard, he saved my life, but there's a monster, he's going to die.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's kind of what Nigel just did, only kind of more specific.
Yes, and would that be your role? Would that be cunning?
Yes. So trick an NPC is cunning, and I will give you a +1 if you're holding up the badge. But I think Arbin had the badge. But like, if you're proving that you were there.
No. I've got his tattered, broken armor.
Oh
he's
yeah,
got
there
the
you
armor. That works well too.
go. Okay, yeah. So we'll see how the roll goes.
Okay, here we go. And I'm pretty sure I've got a +2.
Yes, you do.
Ugh, that is an 8.
Okay,
That's-
well, yeah, an 8 is not bad.
Yeah,
if there
it's a
if
hit.
any yeah. So I was just looking at what people have as far as exhaustion. You guys have got some exhausted people here.
I've
Yeah.
got exhaustion to spare. I will spend one
Yeah.
to.
So yeah, if two of you can spare exhaustion to help in some way,
Yeah.
then we could make that 8 into a 10.
Nigel doesn't, but
I do.
Arvin does. If there's
I do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've only got one left.
so I will spend and start banging and trying to make monster sounds in the darkness.
Okay. So you're spending exhaustion to make monster sounds, Arvin?
Yes.
Yep. And I am reacting appropriately to the
Okay.
monster sounds.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So with the two of you together, then making that a 10, I think that is enough to completely destroy this mob as a cohesive unit. So I think what happens is some of them just run away in terror back towards the town. Some of them say, "The captain's in trouble," and they run off in that direction.
Mhm.
And I think that there's some vague crosstalk shouting of like, "No, you stay with the fox, and wait, you take care of him." But I think pretty quickly you're down to just 3 soldiers currently standing with Clem and Nigel and Lancelot, looking very confused, like, "Wait, what? What's happening now?" And then everyone else has run either back towards the town or towards the woods.
Um, uh, um, I am not in, well, okay. Yeah, okay. Considering I'm one of the people who's in the best shape here.
I think you haven't, like, you saw, I would imagine when Nigel comes in, there's a moment, like, there's probably some alarm from your end, Lancelot, of just going like, "Oh crap, what happened to him? He
Yeah,
was supposed to be
yeah,
the
yeah. And I'll scoop up my staff,
Mhm.
and I'll look at the 3 remaining fellows whose
Mhm.
morale can't be in that much great shape in the first place. It's like, all right, my friends. Now that things are at somewhat of a more equitable numbers, shall we discuss the possibility that you will go your way and I will go mine, or we can have something of a Donnybrook, and I'll ready my staff for a.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to try and
And-
compel.
Yeah, so that's definitely compel an NPC with basically a promise that, like, you don't have all your buddies here now to help.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
different thing.
And I did, darn it, I don't have anything. I don't have exhaustion to add to this. 'Cause
Well,
I have
let's
a
let him
perfect-
roll.
Well, let me
because,
roll
I mean,
first. Let me
well,
roll
yeah,
first.
yeah.
I might roll good,
Mhm.
and I've got charm. So
Yeah.
I rolled a 7 plus 2 is a 9. So if
Okay.
anybody can spare exhaustion, we can make it a 10.
Yeah. And certainly having either Peppa or Arbin, I don't know if either of you have exhaustion to spare, but certainly you showing up to demonstrate that there's even more people than they thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. I'll add add my exhaustion to the pile
Okay.
and kind of fly in with the bow.
All right. So yes, I think with them looking at Lancelot, who's promising, like, maybe you just go away and we don't beat you up, and then all of a sudden Peppa swoops in from the darkness with the bow, and they're looking around, and they kind of just say, "All right, but the Duchy's going to hunt you down. Just you wait and see."
Oh, I'm sure you'll try. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So you get the impression that they're going to run back to town and tell on you, but
Mhm.
Yep.
you're going to have time to make yourself
Yeah,
scarce.
well, who are they going to tell, right? The captain of the guard?
Well, there are other officers that they could report to, because specifically the captain is actually not the one that's like in charge of the rank and
Yeah.
file soldiers, right? That's the excuse me, the brigadier. Sorry.
So
I'll
anyways,
push
yeah,
everyone
so
back.
we hightail it back into the woods.
Yeah.
And Clem is like, Clem's like, and we probably should make some distance between us and the town. I don't think we're welcome here anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm thinking that perhaps making our way to another town might be a good idea at this point. We've created a great deal of mayhem.
Mhm.
We may want to hang around long enough to make sure that little statue
That
stays in
statue
place.
remains. That's about the only unfinished business.
Well, so the one thing that I will point out though is that the amount that they were looking for you before is not
Yeah.
going to be less now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
But,
the fact that some of the people they had looking for you are dead now doesn't make them say, "Oh well."
yeah,
No. Yeah.
we made a giant mess.
We
All
keep
all
losing
because I
data,
couldn't
unfortunately.
give up a thing to a stag.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you had a pretty good plan with the glue that Clem concocted, and you have caused a lot of other chaos. Although it's also true that Lancelot has now set up in the minds of some of the men that they should be on the lookout for strange mystical things.
Yeah.
And so that might make them more likely to want to take down a strange, weird icon that they see on the longhouse. But
Yeah.
you know, but basically, if you don't stick around to to watch, you won't necessarily have firsthand knowledge of what happens. But if you do want to stick around to watch, you're going to be at risk for the search parties.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll leave it up to you, but my vote is we just get out of town. Maybe hide out until morning and then take off then. Do you think that that badge would be enough to convince the folks at Sundell that we have stricken a blow against the duchy here in
It's definitely
And,
prima facie evidence that we did them harm.
I don't know that we want to head back to Sundell and bring that much attention
At least
Well,
not
that's-
directly.
to them.
We go via a different
Yeah.
town,
Well,
a
and
different
so
clearing.
the one caveat being, that your mission, so to speak, for the people in Sundell is time sensitive.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if we're not
So, one idea-
pursued, then we
Yeah.
can go to Sundell. But we might not want to linger in Sundell. We might want to go elsewhere for a
Well,
while.
if you
Get the
like,
heat off
I
of
can
us.
put up the map.
Please put up the
Yes,
map.
please,
Yeah,
please put up the
that's-
map.
Yeah.
Thank you, GM.
Yeah.
Alright.
That
The
would
other
be
thing
good.
that I was
Get that.
thinking of is I can fly it there
There we go.
individually while you guys keep an eye on the thing, and then we can meet.
I
back up
don't like the
somewhere else.
idea. I don't like the idea of splitting up.
Splitting up
Okay.
between towns sounds like a great way for trouble.
So,
Okay.
as where you are right now is in the woods to the north of Iron Vein. So, Iron Vein, for anyone looking at the map, is on this kind of peninsula here, at the place where these two rivers meet. There's the docks coming out of Iron Vein, and then the two bridges. Although both of those would kind of require you to at least a little bit go back into where they would probably be searching. The alternative, probably the simplest place to go, although it would be mountainous travel, but you guys are good at traveling through the woods in general, is you could travel up through the forest to Wind Gap Refuge, which is up in the mountains there.
I think that's probably our best bet, actually.
Yeah.
And I have wanted to visit Rooston. I
Mhm.
have been interested in picking up a musical instrument there. So, yeah, I think we've committed a great deal of mayhem here, and it'd be a good idea if we got out. and let them search for us for a while. But so yeah, that's my
I am conflicted. I want to stay to make sure the statue stays and I completed my mission. On the other hand, that's a great way for us to get caught and
let's
die.
let me put it this way, Arben. Let's say that we're watching and somebody says, oh, hey, look, there's that thing. We should do something about that. And they start climbing up on top of it. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm not in a great shape to stop them.
Well,
Right.
so I think
So-
also before we necessarily talk about the longer term move, let's take into account that all of you are very exhausted. Several of you are significantly injured,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it is currently somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 a.m. after a busy day.
Yeah. So I think we want to, I don't believe our campsite is compromised at this time.
Well, you do know, well, so the rest of the party can fill Lancelot in on the fact that the captain of the guard clearly tracked you all the way through your whole path to find you there, and
Right,
so
but
would have
Captain
come
in the
through there.
Merc, but yeah.
Well, or at least theoretically would have. You don't know for sure, I guess, but he came out of the forest right where you did, so suggesting he had followed your trail the whole way.
so I mean, okay, so our campsite might be compromised.
Could be.
I think that even though we are injured, best thing to do might be to, get to our campsite, pack things up and move at first light. And try to make it to Wind Gap Refuge and perhaps camp along the way. Yeah, because that's I think the most prudent thing to do.
Yeah.
Still risky,
Well-
but I think it's the least risk.
Well, I mean, Wind Gap Refuge is in the mountains. So if we could make it there, they'd have trouble finding us. The problem is, I don't necessarily know if we have the gumption right now to make it to the mountains.
I imagine
So-
after a few days of, it won't be an overnight trip. So
Well, so here's the issue, right? So we're talking about making a travel move, and the travel move is designed to abstract some of this stuff. So you would be doing travel through the forest, right? And so in making that move, you are choosing a couple of options. There's slowly foraging heavily, carefully avoiding trouble, and then as quickly as possible. But as quickly as possible is probably not available to you because it requires everyone to mark exhaustion and depletion.
Mm-hmm.
I think foraging is actually what we'd want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
so-
I would like to also, and we can, spend some depletion to bandage injuries.
yeah, so here's what I'm going to suggest is we won't do the roll quite yet, but what we'll say is if the plan is you're going to travel from the woods north of Iron Vein up into the mountains and to reach Wind Gap Refuge, we can say that's going to take a couple of days, right?
Right.
And so as a result, we can say the things that you could do while traveling slowly and foraging. We can, do some simple healing moves that you
Right.
would be able to do. For example, in clearing harm, so just to give perspective, because, you guys are in rougher shape than have been previously.
Yeah.
Harm past the end of the track is what really messes you up. But up to filling the track just makes you on the verge of being messed up. So if all your depletion is marked, your pockets are empty, you're broke. But it's the least dangerous. It just means that you can't mark depletion to have a special thing anymore, right? Until you restore that. Now that said, you also have some treasure that if you can unload somewhere, you're gonna be able to restore a lot of that. Plus, if you're foraging, you're going to be refilling some of that as well. If all of your exhaustion is marked, you're wiped out on the door of collapsing entirely. You can still move, still act, but can't push yourself any further without the risk of unconsciousness. If all your injury is marked, you're on death's door. You've been wounded, injured, and hurt so much that while you're still alive now, all it would take is another wound to finish you. You likely need medical attention now. And I think I don't know if anyone got to 4, but 2 of you are at 3, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm at 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if all of an item's wear is marked, the item is about to break. It's only damaged now, but all it would take is a bit more stress to fracture it irreparably. Now, as a tinker, Clem can repair destroyed equipment, but it's harder than repairing damaged equipment.
so, so how about guys? So guys, how about this? This pains me to say it, but I do know the area around Clutcher's Creek. We could go south into the woods there.
We would
Is
have
it
to,
ea-
we would have to go past mole checkpoints to get across the bridge.
Are there checkpoints on that bridge, or was it just the one?
No,
coming
there's
from Sunday?
definitely checkpoints on every way in and out of Iron Vein, except through the woods, which really only vagabonds risk.
We'd have to go over to the bridge.
Now
the other
you
bridge.
could, if you wanted, go through the woods and take the bridge to Underleaf, for example.
Yeah.
Like that would be another option if you wanted to go that way instead of to Windgap Refuge. But it is true that if you wanted to go down to the docks or either of those bridges, like to Clutcher's Creek, you could go that way, but you would be more at risk at running across a mole checkpoint that way.
Yeah.
I think we ought to avoid that.
Yeah. I
So-
think heading towards the bridge might be the best bet. And instead of heading up to Wind Gap, we take, the bridge goes north to Rooston also.
So maybe go cross country to the bridge, maybe stop off at Underleaf for supplies.
Okay, so let's
But-
so just to resolve some of this, you're traveling through the forest. Either way, slowly foraging heavily allows everyone to clear to depletion for your foraging, but collectively you have to mark an exhaustion for each band member. So that would mean that all together need to mark 5 boxes of exhaustion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would have a -1 to the travel move. If you do carefully avoiding trouble, you collectively need to mark 1 depletion or exhaustion for each of you, and you get +1 to the roll.
I think that's the way we need to go.
Yeah, if you can't spare the exhaustion.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
alternative too, though, is that if you take the time to make a camp and then stay there for a little bit, you could potentially, clear a little bit of exhaustion, because as we've established before, for clearing harm, you could clear 1 exhaustion with a night's rest in a safe and well set up campsite in the forest.
So let's get to spend a day getting away from town, and then make a secret camp and rest of it, because I think that would be that we're just too
Mhm.
wiped to
Right.
operate otherwise.
I really kind of like the mechanic of this in this game, because what it really establishes is if you have time sensitive goals or evolving situations, you can take the extra time to rest more, but the clock advances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that has a factor. So if you all want to say that instead of heading more or less straight to Windgap Refuge, you set up a camp and you stay for, a day and a night to get that, you can all clear a box of exhaustion, and then that would allow you, if you wanted to have enough exhaustion, to do the slowly foraging one.
Right.
Let me know if that's what you want to do.
I think that's the smart thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds.
All right. So
I think
Well, so I think at this point you still actually have. Here's what's actually kind of fun about this. You have been having pretty good time through this forest in the meantime, because you're sort of like under the auspices of the stag.
Uh-huh.
But if you do choose to stay in that forest for an extra day, then that 24-hour period will elapse in that time. And you may or may not have, well, you'll
Right.
have to find out what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll find out what
So
happens.
I guess that's what I'll say is as the potential cost right now for if you want to make a camp that's a little closer is that you understand you are still in the stag's domain at the period where the 24 hours elapses and you don't have control over the final result there, which means you'll be making a trust fate roll.
Okay.
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 Yeah, I think.
I mean, yeah.
So I think
I mean, we don't also don't know precisely what like territory the stag
mhm,
claims.
yeah.
We don't know. So, we're going a different route than we were before.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be that, based on how the dice go.
I'm going to tell you that without quite knowing or understanding how you know.
Oh, okay.
We'll know.
Yeah, there's just that strange sort of uncanny being watched feeling that that
Okay.
tells you you're still
All
kind
right.
of
All right.
within this territory. But as far as in principle, we could say that it's Arbon's role because he's the one that specifically promised this act of service. But at the same time, it was really kind of a communal thing, right? Like you were all making the offerings for the group. And so as
Okay.
a result, I am content allowing the luckiest among you to
Yeah,
make
I
this
I am
roll.
I'm definitely not that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you
Yeah,
get
that
a
would be
+1
Lancelot.
for the bonus of the epoxy that Clem applied.
Okay. Who wants to roll it? Want me to roll it?
Yep.
You.
You're the luckiest.
Okay. I rolled a 6 plus 3 is 9.
Okay. Yeah. So
That's a hit with consequences.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's okay. I think what happens is that you are all probably aware with this strange being watched feeling, the hair on the back of the fur on the back of your neck or the feathers standing up, because like when you placed it, and so you would be aware more or less when the 24 hours would be up, right? I think what happens is that just at about the time that you're feeling like, well, so it would the 24 hours would elapse in the middle of the night, right? Because
Right.
you placed it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Is anyone awake at that time?
I think we're keeping watches. Yeah.
And Arbin would want to be awake at that time because this was his deal, and yeah, so that's the watch he'll take
Yeah.
specifically.
I think what happens is you are, increasingly feeling like this tension, like there's almost just an electricity in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And again, without quite understanding how there's just this intuitive sense that like now is the time that something is happening. And all of a sudden the wind starts to blow so much that the trees are swaying, it's night and you're just swirling around. And then you hear this strange, deep sound. You almost feel it in your chest, like, and the whole ground shakes enough that everyone wakes up. There's a tremor. And then the wind just stops. And as you're kind of looking around to like see that everything, is everything okay? You look around and realize that the stag is standing right there looking at all of you. And then just nods. And then then you kind of can't help but blink. It's almost like you're forced to blink and they're gone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
and so in the meta, not that
Mhm.
you all necessarily know this, but the cost is that you were gonna get the cloak and the hat back, but now you don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Um,
Especially nobility.
I was not expecting to get it back anyway.
well, yeah,
so-
you know, but yeah, as far as like what actually happened back in Iron Vein, I don't know. You might have to try to sound out some gossip from anyone who would have heard about that at some point.
I will want to know
I'm
what
sure we'll
happened.
find out before too long.
Oh, that not knowing that is making a is
It's in the back of the skull.
Nigel
yes.
just itch. Just
In
Yeah,
fact, actually, I think, yeah. So, yeah. So if you all, complete your day's rest there, you can clear one exhaustion each.
Okay. And I am going to go around and give some care to Nigel and Arbin, who are badly wounded, and try and clear an injury on them.
Yeah.
And in the-
So. Yeah, so for clearing injury, a vagabond tends to your wounds and can mark depletion for supplies, and you
Right,
can clear
so-
one injury that way.
Okay, so I'm going to mark 2 depletion for that to allow for that. And I think that would count as a moment of warmth, friendship, or enjoyment with someone. Or at least I'll have an opportunity for that while we're there.
Yeah, I think I would want to see the scene.
Okay. Okay. With Arbin, while he's patching up his stuff, is like, we haven't sparred for a while. And there's I definitely feel like my technique's been slipping. Excuse me. So I'm looking forward to having a little bit of downtime here to do that a little once you're in better shape.
It would be good. There's much to teach all of you, I think. I can't be the only one attacking large groups of men recklessly. Arbin
Well.
gives a slight sardonic smile at that.
So it strikes me that we have a sword in the group. I wasn't there when that was obtained.
Yeah. I think Peppa has a short sword that she claimed previously from one of the
Yep.
Riverfolk Company mercenaries, the consortium mercenaries.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
you
Right.
also now have the captain's sharp, fast sword.
Yeah, that's that I think I've probably tried to hand it off to Nigel for a moment, but if Lancelot wants it,
Well, yeah, I mean, Nigel
It's a
has that
nice-
thing. Nigel has that thing where when he's unarmed, everybody kind of overlooks
Yeah.
him. So,
so if you want the sharp fast sword, absolutely, it will look very swashbuckly.
I'm just putting that out there, but
Yeah.
but and then
Yeah.
we'll both have swords, and we can actually do some real training rather than pretending my staff is a sword, which always felt kind of silly.
Yeah, no, go right ahead, absolutely.
Yes, I have very little training with it, and I prefer my staff.
It must be noted that the captain was defeated through exhaustion, not through wounds.
True. Well, but he eventually suffered a wound.
Eventually, yes. But I did
Um,
not defeat him. I did not defeat him corpse to corpse. He was
Yeah.
defeated through skill, trickery, and bludgeoning.
Well,
Well-
damaging his armor enough.
And damaging his armor. Yes, I did damage his armor to complete. That's true.
Well, in any case, thank you for that. And maybe tomorrow we can cross swords and we can teach me how to use this thing.
You're going to have to name it, of course.
Ah, that is
Peppa has not named her sword yet.
Hmm.
Peppa needs to do that as well. Arbin has
Uh,
opinions about these things.
Do you think this, do you think do you think the stag would appreciate it if I called it antler?
I think that's fair, given that it was a direct result of this of the stag's command that you received it.
I think that's what I think we'll see what happens.
Names of swords, like names for people, stick or they don't. They can change.
Yeah, we'll see how that works.
Elulon, who pull out the blue sword, has had several names in its history. It was not always Elulon, the blue sword. That's what it's named now. I don't know if I have the honor to change that name, but I will bear it as its name, with its name.
We'll see what happens. And then I'll go over to Nigel and also heal him for a point of injury and mark depletion. And so Nigel, that was quite an adventure we had there.
Yes, I wonder if my treatment, how long it will take for my treatment of the elevator to be noticed with the
Oh.
fire damage.
I'm
And
sure
I
they've already
pull out-
found out
Pull out
the
the
lever.
the core, the piece that I took.
Mhm.
I wonder if Clem can do anything with this.
Whatever happened as a result of that doll you stuck to the roof, I'm sure not having that will have inhibited their reaction.
True.
And I'm hoping we left them in significant disarray. With luck, perhaps the denizens will have been able to regroup as a result of the chaos. I don't know. We'll have to circle back and maybe find some gossip to find out what happened. It bothers me that we didn't. But
Yes,
well,
it disturbs me that we didn't witness that myself.
but I'm sure we'll find out one way or another. That's how these things tend to go. Anyways,
I think Nigel just as Lancelot turns to walk away, Nigel just kind of pulls him into a hug and says, "Thank you for being here."
oh, you're quite welcome.
And then
Nice. So if 2 boxes of depletion were cleared for
I did,
for two
I did,
injury to healed, one for Arbin, one for Nigel,
Mhm.
and you were wanting the a moment of warmth for your drive or something, right?
Yes, my nature. Yes,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
nature.
Yeah, I think that counts for sure.
Okay.
Um,
right.
So for other things, like I know a number of you have like wear marked on your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Clem, so in general, to clear 1 box of wear, a vagabond could spend a few hours repairing the item and mark depletion. A trained expert can spend an hour, and certainly Clem qualifies as an hour. So like he can do it more quickly and do more than 1 box. So for example, it would say normally a vagabond spends a couple of days repairing the item, could be 2 wear, and so on. Clem can do it faster, but you still need to mark a box of depletion for each box of wear that is repaired.
Well, I will provide the depletion for the wear on antler. That puts me at 4 of 4, but I definitely want to get
Well, also
get my-
everyone's going to restore 2 depletion as soon as we do the travel move.
right. So
So
Yeah.
if I will give a box of depletion to Clem to fix some of my armor.
Yeah,
So-
I'll fix my I'll wash my Gambeson myself.
Okay, if you
As-
have your own box of depletion
Yeah.
to spend
Yeah.
for that. Bear in mind too, though, that for some of you might be aware that Clem's shell/toolbox is pretty messed up, and he spent all his depletion on stuff to help you all. So
Okay, I will
Yeah.
spend one to help Clem
Yeah.
with his shell toolbox as well.
all right.
Oh.
So,
And
here-
that the
Say-
shell helped save my life after all.
so here's a question for you guys, because the last time I played, I advanced, but I never picked anything.
Oh,
So
okay.
I still didn't know what to pick. There is Traveler, I think it's Traveler Extraordinaire. And after this one, since we're going to be doing a lot of traveling in forest, it allows me to get back, I think, depletion.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get you clear two. You can clear 2 depletion when you're traveling through the forest, or you can add 1 to the roll.
Yeah, and so certainly Peppa has that move already, but they do stack. Like if both of you are there and you both have that move, you both get the benefit, and it would be each adding +1. So that's up to
Nice.
you to decide. So it's like, so Peppa
Yeah.
does have that move, but having 2 of them is not like a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also, what's the total wear that we've got? Because I've got 2 wear on my shell, 1 wear on my hammer. So that's 3. We got 1
Yeah.
bit of wear on antler.
I've already spent the depletion to
Okay.
clear that.
Yeah,
I have
I'll
just-
donate. I'll donate some of my supplies to help with the wear on your shell.
So, how many? How many depletion do you need to get yourself up?
I would need 3.
Yeah, well,
So-
2 because I gave you 1.
Well, yeah. I would need 3 total. So yeah, 1 from
Yeah.
you and then 2 more.
Yeah.
I'll then toss one your way.
And
Yeah, I am spent, so
I have one
and
more.
you got what? So
I have one more depletion left.
okay. Those 3 would get me topped off. Now the question is, I still have that breastplate, the armor from the captain.
Mm-hmm.
With time, I can fix it. It'll just be a while.
Yeah. So
I don't know
right.
who
Yeah.
else
So
thought
that
that
one
was
is
done.
destroyed rather than just damaged. So I believe your repair move says that for a destroyed item, I would set a condition that you would need to meet, and then
Yeah.
you'd be able to repair it and then mark the depletion for wear as written. Yeah. So when you repair destroyed personal equipment, GM will set 1 condition as per the toolbox move, and so you would fulfill that, and you would clear all the wear. And so yeah. What I'll tell you about that armor is that it has the arrow proof tag, which basically
Oh.
allows them, when it's working, to ignore the first attack of arrow damage that they would otherwise take.
Huh. Wow, so my plan would not have worked so well if he had his armor still working. Huh.
Mm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, so
My
it
shell-
would still have that tag if you repair it.
Okay, I'll break it then. Because like I said, I will get depletion back at some point. Also, Nigel, what was that you were going to give me that you took? So
I mean,
It was-
the part I took from the elevator. I'm not sure if it'll have any functional thing, but yeah.
Yeah. It's a very
curiosity
yeah.
for
I
you.
mean, if you want to hang on to it, and if it feels like it would matter at some point in the future, that would be okay. But like basically, it's a very specific machine part that kind of has like a handle with some like gearing mechanism that is designed to fit in to a specific elevator control mechanism. So theoretically, you could use it to be part of some other machine, but it's a little bit
I
like
was
removing a part from your car's engine. You could carry that around with you, but how likely is it to be useful for something else? Maybe.
well Well, the thing is, Clem also has dismantle, and I was going to see if because I got to see exactly what that says.
Mhm.
But I think if I dismantle it, I can use it basically for other things.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly dismantled already, but let's see. Dismantle a broken or disabled piece of equipment. Yeah, I think this piece is not enough of a machine to qualify for that move.
Okay. Well, oh well. I'll
Yeah.
find a use for it.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, I think I'm willing to be sort of flexible. Like, if at some point in the future you want to say, "Hey, what if I use this for something?" Then I'll be generous there. But otherwise, you'll have to sell me on it.
Okay.
Okay, great. So, if everyone has done their repair and healing that you're going to do for this first sort of resting period, are you ready to begin to travel towards Wind Gap Refuge in earnest?
Did we clear depletion? How much depletion did we clear?
Well, so
Two?
when you do the travel roll,
Okay.
then
Yeah.
you'll do
Yes.
it.
Okay, yes. We are ready to move. Yes.
Into the mountains.
Yes.
Yes.
So, when you do the travel move, there we go. Travel through the forest. So you are doing slowly foraging heavily. So what that means is that among the 5 of you, you need to mark 5 exhaustion, and you all would have cleared at least 1 box for yourselves from staying the night previously. And so you decide if you want to just remark it for everyone, or if someone wants to take.
If
more than
anybody
one.
is in really bad shape, I will mark 2 on your behalf. So Clem and Peppa, you were at 4. So after
Yeah,
this,
it
you'll
was just
still
for
be
I
at
me.
already,
4.
I already marked. I already marked it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
For the
yeah,
I'll
and
journey.
be at 4 if I mark again. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bear in
Yeah,
mind,
so-
though, like being at 4 means that if someone throws a rock at your head, you're unconscious, basically.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity to kind of shuffle exhaustion around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mark on behalf of Peppa and Clem so that they're at 3, and I will mark 3 exhaustion myself so that we're all at 3 rather than having me at 0 and you guys at 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that works. And
All
so
right,
all
that-
of you, are
Uh,
working hard. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I'm at 4 if I with it.
No, that's what Nobilis was just saying. Is that if you would have been at 4 and then
Oh,
you removed
okay, I
1
see.
for.
I misunderstood.
Okay. Yeah. So he's saying Lancelot will mark 1 on your behalf.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we're all at 3 rather than
Yeah.
having some of us
So
at 4.
all of you are looking pretty rough. Like you are making your way through the forest. You find the various supplies as you're able to pull from the forest, and you can all clear 2 depletion as a result.
Okay. Good.
Replenishing your supply of edible greens and mushrooms and making some new ropes or whatever. And so as a result, though, because you're taking this extra time, you're going to have a -1 to the travel move.
Okay.
Now that also you have Peppa's travel extraordinaire. Clem, did you decide you were actually taking that extra travel extraordinaire?
I use a lot of depletion for my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I can take a move from another playbook.
Yep, you definitely can.
So I think I'll take Forager this time.
Okay. What does that one do?
And then whenever you pass into a forest or travel, when you travel or pass into a forest, you can choose to remove 3 depletion, 2 exhaustion, up to 2 injury.
Okay.
Wow, that's a nice move.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was last looking, there's a lot of ones that feed into one another. Like
Mhm.
I have a move that I can get called Big Pockets that adds 2 depletion, and then there's another one that allows me to regain them. And I think it was Forger that I was looking at.
Well, the
Yeah,
other thing
sport-
is too that like you know, you have some valuables that if you can find someone to buy them off of you, you can get value and you know,
Get coins, yeah.
coin that you can use to clear depletion boxes for that as well. But so yeah, as so if you're not getting an additional +1 for the travel as a result, make
No.
sure you know you can mark whatever you would have as a result of your forager for entering the forest. But so that means with Peppa adding a +1 for travel extraordinaire and the -1 for your slow pass, that means that you're straight up rolling 2 dice. Who would
Just
like
just
to
roll 2 dice. Do we get any? Is there an attribute that's associated with it, or just
Nope,
roll 2
it's
dice?
it's just 2 dice.
Anybody want to trust my dice to that?
Sure, go right
Go
ahead.
for it.
Okay, here we
Yeah,
go.
I mean it makes sense. Lancelot is
Good.
sort of doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the other more exhausted members.
And
Exactly.
I got a 5.
A 5.
Oh,
Okay.
boom.
Yep. On a miss, you run afoul of one of the forest's dangers during the trip, and you can't escape it easily. Deal with it before you can reach the clearing on the other side. I think what it is in this context is as we look at the map here, you are climbing up into the mountains and you are not using the path. And I
Right.
think what you discover is
There's a reason there's a
there's
path.
a big like a crevasse that is you know, deep and steep and sharp at the bottom.
Ooh.
And certainly Arbin and Peppa could just fly over it, but not for everybody. And what you discover is that like it would require a substantial additional travel time to try to go around it. And so you need to try to figure out how you're going to get across. I think it is a significant, like, let's say it's like 25 feet across.
Mm.
Okay.
And so theoretically,
Well,
what you could do is you could go around, but it will add travel time.
Well, given how depleted we are and given how exhausted we are, I think perhaps going around might be the best thing to do.
Yeah. It's mostly that it will advance the outside world clock.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm okay
Yes.
with that myself.
Yeah.
I think the outside world clock advancing is the least worst option.
Okay.
And we also need a little more time to heal up a bit.
Well, so unfortunately, the role that you're doing and what it costs has already accounted for that.
Yeah.
So you don't get to do more of that necessarily because this represents the abstraction of the rest of the trip, right? And so I think what was going to take 3 days now takes a week. So
Wow.
it has been a week and a day by the time you arrive in Wind Gap Refuge.
Okay.
Okay.
And
That'll be long enough
I
for the gossip to have gotten there.
well, potentially,
Maybe.
because the thing is, there is not a road that goes straight from Iron Vein to Wind Gap Refuge, and it can't
No, there
be
isn't.
a
Yeah.
ship can't easily go there either. And there's
Yeah,
not
it
even a
is kind
road
of
from
isolated.
Underleaf to Wind Gap Refuge. It's a
Yeah.
long Wind Gap Refuge is out of the way.
Yeah.
It literally the
Well,
only road from it is from Pinehorn. And so, you know,
Best we can-
theoretically, Gossip could have gone on a ship up to Pinehorn and then up to Wind Gap Refuge, but that's a long trip too.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
yeah, it's
We'll see what
basi-
happens.
You'll see. And so I think actually what I'll describe is a little bit of as you have made your way out of the mountain pass, you see nestled into a small valley that is kind of above, you know, a larger. So you have a tiny valley nestled within these high mountains, and it is the town itself is actually above tree line, but it's within the sort of a nestled, protected area, so it's not like scoured by the wind in the way that a lot of the rest of the area here is. Um, but the most notable feature of this town, which is relatively small, is that there is high up on the highest point of the nearest peak is a monastery that is up there, and there is also, like, the rest of this smallish town is all kind of structured around what looks like a big communal well.
Huh.
And
Out
so,
of, out of character, my brain is going to my trip to Nepal, and you have towns and you have monasteries further up on the mountain above the little villages.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of the idea here, but it is close enough that people could, you know,
Yeah, it's not
spend half
quite
an
as
hour walking
severe.
up there, and
Yeah, it's
within
Very
sight
cool.
of the town. And so I think as you are kind of making your way in there, I think that is where we will bring it to a close for tonight and do the session moves, just because
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that way I've you know,
Time to prepare the town.
yeah, well, and also just like, you guys have, we've closed a chapter. And also the
Yeah.
thing is that I'm actually a little excited about here is taking a week and a day means that I'm gonna do a faction turn
Okay.
for everything that's going on in the outside world, time passing. And so we'll see, so
Yeah.
your adventures have had an effect that, plays a role in how the factions go. I have not fully decided, you know what, maybe I'll just decide to do it. Is I might do a stream where I go through the Root RPG's method
Okay.
of doing the faction turns, which is pretty cool, actually, because it basically gives all of the different factions an order in which they make their rolls, and those rolls, for example, get either a bonus or a penalty based on whether or not you guys interfered
involved.
or assisted with their plan. But for example, they could still have been hindered by you and still roll real well. By contrast, they could be helped by you and still roll poorly. And then basically, depending on how they roll, we work within the fiction to see what makes the most sense for how that roll gets adjudicated.
Right.
Because
Right.
I will say, without you knowing the details, you were successful in hindering the duchy's operations in Iron Bay.
Yay!
Yay!
For sure.
Well,
I mean, you did a lot of
hopefully
stuff
the
that
town-
messed them up, so yeah.
Hopefully the town of Ironvein is still in existence.
Well, yeah, well, we'll find out.
Nice. We come back and it's all entirely covered with vines.
Whoops.
Yeah, with this giant stick figure deer that's made out of paper clips, kind of hobbling around.
What did I do?
All right. All right.
Hey,
So
hey,
let's do
Yeah, so we
do
have our session moves, which means that
Yes.
one at a time, each player will read out their drives, and we'll decide if we think that those drives were fulfilled in this session. So let's just do it in order. So, Lancelot, what are your current drives?
My current drives are Wanderlust and Anti-Militarist. And
Yeah.
did we complete the
So here's the thing. Yeah, like I think what I said last time was that the anti-militarist didn't count because it was sort of still in progress.
right.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and say that counts this time. So
Okay, so I get 2 advances or
Yeah, so Wanderlust, read that one. So read the descriptions of them.
Wanderlust finished a journey to another clearing.
Done.
Anti-militarist advance when you sabotage a non-denizens faction or their ability to wage war.
Yes, you absolutely did that. Not only with the things that you had previously done, but also now you have killed one of their captains of the guard and burned one of their shaft houses. On top of the stuff that you're not sure exactly how it turned out.
So what I'm going to do with I already know what I'm doing with my advancements.
Okay.
I am giving myself an extra exhaustion box and an extra depletion box.
Nice. Great. Okay. So how about Arbin? What are Arbin's drives?
Okay, Arbin's drives are, because I changed it last time, I changed it to folk hero, advance when you perform a significant act of service or heroism on behalf of the denizens, cause significant harm to them or their interests, and wanderlust. So we got wanderlust. I'm not
Yeah.
sure about folk hero because we didn't stick
See,
around.
the trick there, the problem that you have in that situation is you absolutely did heroic things on behalf of the denizens, but they don't
Nobody knows.
necessarily
know
know,
it.
what you
Yeah.
did. And
So I went
that's
from-
kind of, so for folk hero, you kind of have to have the folk know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seem to
Well,
go, I seem to have gone from one drive that never works to another drive that doesn't work. My-
now, that all depends on what the soldiers talk about Arbin
Yeah,
having.
that's true. That's true because a lot of the soldiers would certainly be reporting later about the falcon that swooped in out of nowhere, and yeah,
Yeah, and messed them up.
yeah.
So
You know what? I'll allow it.
Okay, so that means I get 2 advancements. I mean, I haven't
Yeah.
had any advancements in so long. I have no idea what to get off the top. I just did my drives have never actually come into play, so like I have to think about what I actually want to advance now.
I would suggest taking an extra injury track. An extra box on your
that-
injury track.
that
That's
yeah, that might be one of them for sure. Because I keep getting into scraps.
yeah. Get a little tougher there.
Well, and then extra exhaustion also can let you do your stuff more, right?
Mm-hmm. I will think about it.
So, Nigel, what are Nigel's drives?
Clean pause. Advance when you accomplish an illicit criminal goal while maintaining a believable veneer of innocence.
So the problem, so you had already gotten credit for the forgery job, like
Yeah,
meaning you got to fulfill that drive for that because you did that without getting caught for that. But your disabling of the elevator is not getting away clean, so I don't think
Yeah.
you can count that. Yeah, because you didn't get away clean this time, so I don't think that one counts. What was the
And
other
I suppose helping Lancelot escape wouldn't count.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I,
The other
I
one
think
is
I think by the time all of those soldiers report to their various officers, they're going to get chewed out for not seeing through the obvious ploy, which is
Yeah.
easy for the officers to say from after the fact, you know.
Or
Yeah.
well, that's assuming that the soldiers don't get together and concoct some other story.
Well, for that matter, yeah. But I just mean at a certain point of just saying, wait a minute.
Yeah. It just
This guy
it's
says that
government.
a capybara knocked him out just right before our elevator got disabled. And then you said that a capybara showed up to distract you away from the fox prisoner who also was
Yeah.
in the air. Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, the point is, yeah, you didn't get away with clean paws on that one.
Then there's development. Contribute to a lasting development or improvement to an entire clearing.
Yes, yes. You don't know how, but you did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, well, there's a clue.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to take the sneak roguish feats
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
because that's something that can definitely be used.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've
Yeah.
yeah. I was considering getting that, but
Mhm.
I think it's yeah.
Sneak is very useful.
All right. So, what about Peppa? What are Peppa's drives?
She, like Lancelot, has anti-militarist and wanderlust.
Okay. Yeah. So you also fulfill both of those.
Yeah, and usually I am picking from roguish feats, but I think this time I am going to add to my exhaustion track,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also going to pick up forager.
Nice. Okay. What
Forager's a really
about
good move.
Clem?
So Clem's 2 drives are: one is mystery, advance when you discover the truth behind goings on or strange phenomena within the clearing,
Mm-hmm.
and then And then drive 1 is wanted. You've got a bounty on your head, and you advance when you defeat or evade capture by a serious threat trying to cash in on the bounty. To be
Yeah.
fair, we did escape, but they weren't trying to cash in on the bounty.
Well, you also got credit for that one on a previous session.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
defeated those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mystery is frustrating for me because you almost like it's entirely makes sense 100% that you all decided to just make yourself scarce, but it means that you specifically left some mysteries unknown to you. So
Yeah.
I don't think I can give you credit for that.
But
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
but if we find out what happened in Iron Vein with that thing, maybe he can get credit for it then.
Yeah, maybe we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So there was a couple of things that were also like dangling threads that you didn't really end up resolving the answer to, like what's the deal with the iron in Iron Vein, the Mole's
musician.
plans for the tunnel. Yeah, so there was a lot of those things that you kind of don't know how it all turned out. So like the idea of advancing for solving a mystery doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We may come back, you
Yeah.
know, and the young lady who was the musician, and I really liked the Forge. You know, I would definitely go back to Forge. It's
Sure.
still standing.
Yeah. All right. So, assuming that you're not gonna just be walking in like, wanted posters on every corner.
Or a burned down Iron Vein because they still hadn't put the fire out when we left.
No,
No,
they
no,
they
they
did,
did.
yeah,
They did
yeah.
put the fire out. Yeah, they did put the
Okay.
fire out.
Okay.
But in any case, so the other session move is if anyone wanted to replace one of your drives with a different one, or replace your nature with a different one, or replace one of your connections with a different one. If anyone has one of those they want to do, go ahead. Otherwise, you can take a look at that over the coming week.
I might think about one of those
Okay.
over the week.
All right. So I think then that'll do it for this session of Roots,
Well-
the role-playing game. Hmm?
Wasn't there also the stars and
Oh,
Stars and
so
wishes.
that's an informal thing that I would be
Oh,
happy
okay.
for us to do, but it's not like an official session move.
Oh,
That was
okay.
just like my thing.
Okay.
If anyone is curious, the idea is Stars and Wishes is just a role-playing game tool that you can use for any game. The basic idea is just people give stars to things that they especially liked about a certain session, and wishes are things that they hope to have happen in an upcoming session.
I do have to say, the mystery about the stag and what happened to Irene, it's frustrating, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's good that to exist.
So perhaps a star for the mystery is being interesting, but a wish that you do eventually find out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do eventually do want to
And it
find
can
out
be-
what happened.
Yeah, fair.
it can
fair.
be
And
just natural, like rumors spread or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And I definitely want to get back to Sundale to see what happened with our young inventor friend who nearly won the
Yeah,
plow race.
Mhm.
And I want to remind the GM that at the beginning you asked where everybody was from. I'm originally from the Airy Dynasty, but I said on my character sheet that I had been living in Wind Gap Refuge. So I hope that.
Oh,
comes
okay.
up.
Yeah. So I'll be in touch with you, or we'll talk about it for next session of just as you will be familiar with
Yeah.
the place and perhaps know some of the people there.
I mean, this is the first time we've gone to a place where someone's from directly. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping to get that into the role play.
All right.
Well, at least from, so to speak. I mean, we're all vagabonds. I'm from far away the most.
Okay. Lots of wishes. Any stars?
You're an awesome GM.
Aw.
You keep us on our toes for sure.
And the whole thing with Lancelot and just was great. Like just the fact that the talking his way out just riled them up to the point where finally he was like, "No, I've got my friends here."
Yeah. I'll confess, I was for a while there. I was like, "What's the end game here?" Because mostly you're just keeping them in the status quo, which is that they've got you surrounded. Now,
Yeah.
it's certainly better than having you in handcuffs dragged back to the tunnel, which is what I thought was going to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean,
that
certainly-
was yeah. I was
Yeah,
just
we got it
trying
there.
to buy time until my friends came, and
Yeah.
it's exactly what happened.
Perfect. Okay, well, then I think we're now ready to draw the session to close. I think we're going to be all back next week.
Yep.
So we'll be back next week for more Root, the role playing game on so many levels.
So many levels.